Good evening, everyone. I want to talk to you about power today, not the kind of power that comes from titles, positions, or possessions, but the kind of power that lives deep inside of you. The kind that doesn't shout but whispers, doesn't demand but commands, and doesn't chase but draws. There's a season in life when we all feel the urge to prove ourselves, to make our voices heard, to argue our worth in rooms where no one seems to see it. But what if I told you that sometimes the most profound statement you can make is no statement at all? You see, there's a difference between being seen and being felt. When you're constantly explaining, chasing, or shouting to be recognized, you might be seen, but you may never truly be felt. True presence isn't about making noise, it's about knowing when to step back, stay silent, and let your energy speak for you. When you step back, you give people the room to miss you, to recognize what they lost, to feel the emptiness of a space you once filled. When you stay silent, you force them to listen not just to what you've said before, but to the echo of your absence. And when you let that silence linger, they will beg, yes, they will beg for your return, for your wisdom, for your light. This is not about playing games or manipulating others. It's about reclaiming your energy, protecting your peace, and knowing your worth so deeply that you don't have to prove it to anyone else. Because when you know who you are, you realize this truth: you don't need everyone to understand you. You don't need everyone to like you. And you definitely don't need anyone to validate what you already know. So the next time someone tries to diminish your light, or you feel like the world isn't giving you the credit you deserve, pause, step back, stay silent, and watch as the universe rearranges itself around your strength. Because here's the secret: the world craves what it cannot have, and it respects what it cannot control. Let them wonder, let them miss you, and let them come to you on their knees, not because you demanded it, but because they finally saw the treasure that was standing before them all along. Your power is in your restraint, your silence, and your unshakable belief in yourself. Thank you. True power often lies in restraint. Silence can be louder than words and more effective than any argument when used wisely. Stepping back doesn't mean disappearing, it means allowing your absence to amplify your value and your energy to linger in the spaces you leave. When you stop explaining yourself, people become curious. Silence creates an aura of intrigue that naturally draws others in. Stepping back allows you to conserve your energy and redirect it to things that truly matter, rather than wasting it on unproductive situations or people. Silence gives others the space to reflect on their actions, words, and what they stand to lose without you. Sometimes stepping back allows others to underestimate you, creating opportunities to re-enter with greater impact when the time is right. When you stay silent, people often realize what they took for granted. Absence speaks volumes about your worth. Silence and distance often speak louder than confrontation, shifting dynamics without the need for direct conflict. Knowing when to step back and when to re-engage is an art that maximizes the impact of your presence and absence. The power to step back and stay silent comes from a deep understanding of your worth. When you know your value, you don't need to prove it to anyone else. True power often lies in the ability to stay silent. In a world where everyone seems to be shouting to be heard, silence is a rare and underestimated force. It's not about passivity or avoidance, it's about knowing that you don't have to respond to everything that comes your way. Silence is a decision, a choice to hold your ground without the need for validation or explanation. When you choose silence, you shift the dynamics of any interaction. It creates space for others to pause, to think, and to question. In moments of tension or conflict, silence can disarm even the loudest voices. It forces people to confront their own words and actions without the distraction of your immediate reaction. Silence isn't weak, it's a deliberate act of self-control that shows you are in charge of your emotions and responses. In silence, there's strength because it allows you to listen, observe, and understand more deeply. When you're not speaking, you have the advantage of truly hearing what others are saying, not just their words, but their tone, intent, and underlying motivations. You gain clarity that you can't achieve when you're rushing to respond. Silence gives you the time to process and decide how, or if you need to react. Silence also speaks volumes about confidence. When you know your value, you don't feel the need to explain it to others constantly. You're secure enough to let your actions, your presence, and your energy communicate what words cannot. There's a quiet authority in someone who doesn't rush to fill the space with noise. It's a signal to others that you are not seeking approval, you are already complete within yourself. It's in silence that people start to realize your worth. When you step back and stop speaking, it shifts their attention to what's missing, the wisdom, insight, or energy that only you bring. Silence creates a vacuum that draws others in, making them appreciate what they once overlooked. In this way, silence becomes a tool of influence, not by force, but by the undeniable impact of absence. Choosing silence doesn't mean you're conceding or stepping down. It's about deciding when your voice is most valuable and reserving it for those moments when it will have the greatest impact. It's the realization that you don't need to fight every battle or prove your point at every turn. Silence is power because it comes from a place of self-assurance, clarity, and purpose. Presence is not just about being physically in a space, it's about the energy you bring into it and the imprint you leave behind. It's an intangible force, something people feel even if they can't articulate it. True presence isn't about dominating a room or constantly drawing attention to yourself. Instead, it's about a quiet confidence and awareness of your own value and the ability to affect others without needing to overwhelm them. When you step back, it's not an act of retreat, but a deliberate move to create space for your essence to linger. Presence doesn't always demand constant participation or noise. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to let your absence be felt. People begin to notice the gaps you leave behind, and in that noticing, they start to appreciate the significance of your contributions. There's an elegance to knowing when to step forward and when to pull back. It's about understanding that your energy doesn't need to be scattered everywhere. When you're selective about where and how you show up, your presence becomes more meaningful. People begin to anticipate your arrival, value your input, and recognize the weight of your silence just as much as your words. Presence also means being fully engaged in the moments when you do choose to participate. It's about the depth of your connection, not just the breadth of your involvement. When you are truly present, your focus, attention, and authenticity resonate with those around you. It's not the quantity of time you spend, but the quality of your engagement that leaves a lasting impression. The art of presence is also about trusting your influence. It's knowing that you don't always have to be seen or heard to be felt. When you carry a strong sense of self and purpose, your energy radiates beyond the immediate moment. Even when you're not in the room, the memory of your words, actions, and essence continues to ripple through those you've touched. Your presence is a reflection of your self-awareness and the value you place on yourself. When you understand your worth, you don't feel the need to prove it constantly. Instead, you let your actions, choices, and silence speak for themselves. It's in the spaces you intentionally create that people come to realize just how much you bring to the table. There's an undeniable allure to mystery, a quiet power in withholding instead of revealing, in being known but not fully understood. Mystery captivates because it leaves room for imagination, curiosity, and intrigue. When you don't lay everything bare, you create a magnetic pull that draws people in, compelling them to seek what they don't yet know about you. Being mysterious isn't about being evasive or manipulative. It's about understanding that not everything needs to be shared. In a world that constantly demands openness and oversharing, holding something back sets you apart. It signals a sense of control over your narrative, an awareness of your value, and a refusal to let others dictate how much of yourself you give away. Mystery allows others to invest in you emotionally and mentally. When people don't have all the answers about you, they begin to fill in the gaps with their own thoughts, questions, and assumptions. This act of filling in creates a deeper connection, one that is rooted in their desire to understand you more. They lean in closer, ask more questions, and pay more attention, all because there is something about you that feels just out of reach. There's also strength in being a little unpredictable. When people can't easily label or categorize you, they're forced to engage with you more intentionally. Mystery keeps people on their toes, wondering about your next move, your true thoughts, or the depth of your capabilities. This unpredictability not only makes you more interesting, but also positions you as someone who operates outside the ordinary, someone who is not easily controlled or defined. Holding back parts of yourself doesn't mean you are withholding connection, it means you are offering it on your terms. Sharing selectively allows you to maintain power over how you are perceived. When you reveal pieces of your story, your thoughts, or your emotions deliberately and with purpose, the impact of what you share is far greater than if everything were laid bare from the start. Mystery also fosters respect. When people don't know everything about you, they approach you with a sense of caution and wonder. They tread lightly, not wanting to overstep or risk misunderstanding. This respect can create a dynamic where your boundaries are naturally honored, and your voice, when you choose to use it, carries more weight. Even in silence, mystery thrives. When you choose not to respond or when you step back, it leaves people questioning your thoughts, your intentions, and your next move. This gap in understanding becomes a powerful tool, one that can shift dynamics in your favor. People will seek you out, not because you demanded their attention, but because the lack of your words and actions has made them crave your presence even more. Mystery is not about creating distance for the sake of it, it's about fostering intrigue and allowing others to come to you. It's about knowing that your value doesn't diminish just because every detail about you isn't on display. When you embrace the magnetism of mystery, you allow others to discover you layer by layer, each revelation drawing them closer and deepening the connection. Energy is one of your most precious resources. It fuels your thoughts, emotions, and actions, shaping how you navigate the world and engage with others. Yet, in the rush to meet expectations, handle obligations, and respond to external demands, it's easy to lose track of where your energy is going. Without realizing it, you may find yourself drained, giving too much to situations or people that don't reciprocate or deserve what you offer. Reclaiming your energy is about taking back control, setting boundaries, and choosing to invest in yourself. When you reclaim your energy, you begin by recognizing where it's being spent unnecessarily. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every criticism deserves a response. And not every opportunity is the right one for you. The moments when you step back and choose not to engage are not acts of surrender, but of self-preservation. You're conserving your strength for the things that truly matter, the things that align with your values and goals. Reclaiming energy also means stepping away from spaces or people that consistently deplete you. It's not selfish to prioritize your well-being. It's essential. When you're constantly giving without being replenished, you're not just losing energy, you're diminishing your ability to be your best self. By stepping back, you create space to recharge, to focus on what nurtures you, and to rebuild your reserves. This act of reclaiming energy is also a form of empowerment. It's a declaration that you value yourself enough to protect your resources. You no longer feel the need to be everything to everyone or to say yes to things that don't serve you. It's about recognizing your worth and understanding that your energy is finite. The more you guard it, the more you can channel it into pursuits and relationships that uplift and inspire you. Reclaiming your energy doesn't mean shutting yourself off from others or the world. Instead, it's about being intentional with your focus and presence. It's about choosing where to pour your energy so that it multiplies rather than drains. When you direct your energy toward things that align with your purpose and passions, you not only feel more fulfilled, but also more powerful. This process also involves letting go of the guilt that often comes with saying no or stepping away. Society often teaches us to prioritize others' needs over our own, to keep giving even when we have nothing left to give. But reclaiming your energy requires breaking free from that mindset. It's about realizing that you can't pour from an empty cup, and that by taking care of yourself first, you're better equipped to give to others in meaningful ways. Reclaiming your energy is a journey of self-awareness. It's about tuning into how you feel, recognizing what drains you, and taking deliberate steps to change those patterns. It's about honoring yourself, trusting your instincts, and knowing that you have the right to protect your energy as much as anyone else. With every moment of energy reclaimed, you rediscover your strength, clarity, and the peace that comes from living on your own terms. Sometimes the most profound realizations come not from confrontation or explanation, but from silence and absence. When you choose to withhold your response, your energy, or even your presence, you create a powerful opportunity for reflection in others. Forcing reflection isn't about manipulation or control, it's about creating space for self-awareness to emerge, both in you and those around you. People often take what is readily available for granted. When you're always present, always explaining, always giving, it's easy for others to overlook the value of your contributions. Stepping back disrupts this pattern. It removes the comfort of your constant presence, your voice, or your efforts, leaving others to sit with what remains in the void. In this space, they are confronted with the reality of what they may have ignored, undervalued, or misunderstood. Reflection is often uncomfortable because it forces people to face truths they might have been avoiding. Your decision to step back or stay silent shifts the responsibility onto them to think deeply about their actions, words, or assumptions. Without the distraction of your immediate reaction, they are left with their own thoughts and the consequences of their behavior. This silence becomes a mirror, reflecting back to them the impact of what they've done or failed to do. This process isn't always immediate. Reflection takes time. People may initially react with confusion, frustration, or even denial. But as they sit with the silence, as they replay moments and consider what's changed, the clarity begins to emerge. They start to see things from a perspective they couldn't grasp before, and they begin to understand the depth of your value, your boundaries, and your worth. Forcing reflection also allows you to protect your energy and emotional well-being. When you step back, you're no longer caught in the exhausting cycle of trying to convince someone of your perspective or worth. Instead, you're giving yourself the gift of peace while giving them the responsibility to figure things out on their own. You're choosing not to engage in dynamics that drain you and instead prioritizing your own growth and healing. This isn't about punishing others or withdrawing out of spite. It's about trusting that silence and absence have a power all their own. It's about believing that sometimes the most effective way to communicate is through what you don't say or do. Your restraint speaks volumes, often louder than any argument or confrontation ever could. In forcing reflection, you're not just teaching others a lesson, you're also reaffirming your own boundaries and values. You're reminding yourself that you don't have to fight to be understood or to be valued. Your worth is inherent, and it doesn't require constant justification or explanation. By stepping back, you're reclaiming your power and allowing others to come to their own realizations about what they may have overlooked or taken for granted. This act of silence and absence often leads to growth for both you and those around you. For them, it's a chance to reassess their behavior, priorities, and how they engage with you. For you, it's an opportunity to reinforce your own self-respect, to see who truly values you, and to make room for connections that align with your worth. In the space created by your decision to step back, transformation becomes possible. Underestimation is often viewed as a disadvantage, but it can be one of the most powerful tools at your disposal. When people underestimate you, they reveal their own biases and assumptions, often giving you the upper hand without realizing it. This dynamic allows you to operate with a freedom and clarity that those who are overestimated rarely enjoy. It provides a space where expectations are lower, leaving you room to strategize, surprise, and exceed what anyone thought possible. Being underestimated allows you to maintain an element of surprise. People who assume they know your limits are unprepared for the moment you shatter those assumptions. This unpredictability can be a significant advantage, particularly in competitive environments. When no one sees you coming, they're less likely to block your path, and by the time they realize your strength, it's often too late for them to respond effectively. Underestimation also encourages humility and focus. While others may bask in their overconfidence or rely on exaggerated reputations, you are given the chance to quietly hone your skills and refine your approach. This dynamic fosters resilience and adaptability. You learn to work harder, think deeper, and innovate more creatively, all while staying grounded in the knowledge that your efforts speak louder than anyone's underestimation of you. At the same time, being underestimated can serve as a mirror, reflecting the limitations of those who make the judgment. When someone underestimates you, it often reveals more about them than it does about you. Their inability to see your potential stems from their own lack of vision, biases, or insecurities. Recognizing this allows you to detach from their opinions and focus instead on your own growth and goals. Underestimation doesn't just empower you, it can also disarm those who might view you as a threat. By appearing less capable or ambitious than you truly are, you avoid unnecessary scrutiny or rivalry. This creates a strategic advantage, allowing you to operate under the radar while others expend their energy competing with those they perceive as more formidable. There's a quiet power in knowing that you have more to offer than what others expect. This awareness fuels your confidence. Even when it isn't outwardly visible, you understand that their judgment doesn't define your worth or your potential. Instead, it motivates you to keep pushing forward, knowing that every step you take is a step closer to disproving their assumptions. Underestimation also has a way of drawing attention when the truth is finally revealed. When you exceed expectations, the impact of your success is amplified because it defies what others thought was possible. This moment of revelation often shifts the dynamics in your favor, earning you respect and recognition that might not have been achieved if their expectations had been higher from the beginning. Embracing the power of underestimation requires patience and self-assurance. It's about resisting the urge to prove yourself too soon and instead allowing your actions to speak at the right time. It's about knowing that the real strength lies not in what others think of you, but in what you know about yourself. When you understand and harness this power, you transform underestimation from a potential limitation into one of your greatest strengths. Absence has a unique way of magnifying presence. When you choose to remove yourself from a situation, relationship, or environment, it creates a vacuum that forces people to confront what they have lost or overlooked. Absence is not an act of weakness or retreat. It is a deliberate choice to allow others to experience the impact of your value by its sudden lack. This absence speaks in ways words cannot, highlighting the importance of what you brought to the table when you were there. Demand through absence works because people often fail to recognize the significance of someone's presence until it is gone. Familiarity can breed complacency, and when you are consistently available, your contributions may start to blend into the background. By stepping away, you disrupt this pattern. Your absence shifts the balance, making people realize the weight of your influence, energy, and contributions. They begin to see how much they relied on you, consciously or subconsciously, and how the dynamic has changed without you there. In relationships, absence can be a powerful tool to restore balance and demand respect. When you constantly give without receiving in return, your value may be taken for granted. Choosing to step back and create distance is a way of asserting your worth. It allows the other person to experience the void left behind, to reflect on their actions, and to understand what they risk losing. It's not about playing games, but about resetting the dynamic and reminding them that your presence is a privilege, not a guarantee. This principle applies to professional environments as well. In workplaces, people who are always accessible, always saying yes, and always available for every task can sometimes be overlooked or undervalued. Their contributions are seen as given rather than extraordinary. But when that person steps away, whether by taking a break, declining a task, or even moving on to a new opportunity, their absence becomes glaringly apparent. Suddenly, colleagues and leaders notice the gap in productivity, morale, or expertise, and they realize just how essential that person was. Demand through absence also creates space for reflection, both for you and for others. For those around you, it's a chance to reassess their own behaviors, priorities, and how they engage with you. For you, it's an opportunity to recharge, refocus, and evaluate what truly matters. In stepping away, you protect your energy and ensure that you are not pouring yourself into situations that don't reciprocate or appreciate your efforts. The power of absence lies in its subtlety. It doesn't require confrontation, explanation, or argument. It allows actions or the lack thereof to speak louder than words. This silence, this withdrawal, carries a weight that demands attention and respect. People are left to sit with the discomfort of your absence, to question why it happened, and to acknowledge the role they played in it. Absence also shifts the focus to what makes you irreplaceable. When you're no longer present, people start to notice the unique qualities you brought, your perspective, energy, and contributions that can't be easily replicated. This realization creates a natural demand for your return or for what you offer, but this time on terms that honor your value. It's a strategy that requires patience and confidence. Choosing to step back can feel risky, especially if you're unsure how others will respond. But it's also a profound act of self-assurance, a declaration that you know your worth and won't settle for anything less than what aligns with your value. In that absence, demand grows not because you chased it, but because you allowed others to recognize the void that only you can fill. Control doesn't always have to be forceful or assertive. In fact, the most effective kind of control is often the one that is wielded without confrontation, where your influence is felt without you having to raise your voice or directly assert yourself. This type of control is subtle and requires a deep understanding of human nature, as well as a strong sense of self-assurance. It's about recognizing that not every situation needs to be dominated, and not every disagreement needs to end in a battle. True control comes from a place of inner strength, clarity, and quiet leadership. By controlling your reactions and maintaining emotional discipline, you prevent others from drawing you into unnecessary conflicts. It's easy to get caught up in the drama or chaos of a situation, but choosing not to engage doesn't mean you're retreating. Instead, you're making a conscious decision to rise above the noise and preserve your energy for things that matter. This restraint allows you to navigate situations with more clarity and purpose, while those around you may become entangled in their own emotions or reactions. Control without confrontation also involves understanding when to step back. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not engage at all. By removing yourself from a situation, you allow others to play out their own actions and make their own decisions. You don't need to control every interaction or outcome. Instead, you create an environment where people are left to reflect on their own behavior and the consequences of their actions. Your absence, your silence, and your ability to choose when to participate becomes a silent yet powerful form of influence. This approach requires an understanding that your presence is not always necessary for things to go in your favor. Sometimes allowing others to make their own mistakes or decisions provides you with more control in the long run. They may come to you later for guidance, realizing that you didn't interfere but instead provided them with the space to make their own choices. This subtle form of influence ensures that others feel empowered while also respecting your boundaries and your wisdom. Control through calmness is also about setting an example. When you consistently approach situations with grace, patience, and self-regulation, you teach others how to behave and interact with you. Over time, people begin to adjust their own behavior to align with yours without you having to say anything. Your quiet authority encourages respect, not out of fear, but out of admiration for your ability to stay grounded in any circumstance. Control without confrontation is a mindset. It's about understanding that the strongest influence comes not from imposing your will on others, but from maintaining a steady and composed presence that commands respect. When you master this form of control, you realize that the most powerful thing you can do is not to fight for your position, but to hold it without the need for force. Your actions, your calmness, and your wisdom become the driving forces that shape the way situations unfold. Timing is often the deciding factor in whether an action succeeds or falters. It's the unseen force that governs every opportunity, every interaction, and every decision. More than just knowing what to do, timing is about understanding when to do it. It's about waiting for the right moment to act, to speak, or to move forward. Timing is the art of aligning your actions with the rhythm of the world around you, feeling the pulse of events, and knowing how to navigate them with precision. One of the most powerful aspects of timing is patience. Often we are so eager to achieve, to be seen, or to take action that we rush forward without considering whether the moment is truly right. The best things in life don't always happen in our preferred timeline, and sometimes the most significant results come from waiting for conditions to align, for the right people to arrive, or for your inner self to be ready. Timing teaches the value of restraint and the wisdom of knowing that sometimes doing nothing is the most powerful action. Waiting for the right moment doesn't mean sitting idle or doing nothing. It's about staying engaged, being alert, and preparing yourself for when that moment arrives. Just as an athlete doesn't wait passively for the ball to come to them but stays ready, focused, and alert, timing demands that you stay engaged with the process, even in moments of apparent stillness. It's a constant balance of patience and preparation, of knowing when to move forward and when to pull back. Timing is also a lesson in humility. Sometimes, even when we think we are ready or when we believe we have all the answers, the timing simply isn't right. Recognizing that requires humility, the understanding that not everything is within your control and that life has its own rhythm. Sometimes you must let things unfold as they are meant to, even when you feel a sense of urgency. There is an innate wisdom in knowing that forcing the moment can often cause more harm than waiting for the right time. Opportunities, once lost, may not come again in the same form. Understanding timing means understanding that some moments are fleeting, and it's up to you to be prepared and aware enough to seize them when they arise. Every situation has its window, and that window may not stay open for long. Timing teaches you the importance of recognizing those moments and acting decisively when they appear. It is the balance between caution and action, between being thoughtful and being quick to capitalize on opportunity. At the core of timing is the awareness that there is a flow to life, a rhythm that dictates when things will unfold, when they will be right, and when they will align. The more you understand and respect that flow, the more adept you become at navigating it with ease and grace. It's not always about pushing forward or striving for what you want, but about stepping back, assessing the situation, and knowing that the right moment will present itself when you are truly ready for it. Timing is the art of knowing when to act and when to wait, when to speak and when to remain silent, when to push and when to pull back. It is the unspoken force that shapes everything, and when you master it, you move with the rhythm life rather than against it. Self-worth is the foundation of everything in life. It is the key that unlocks doors to success, happiness, and fulfillment. When you know your value, you operate from a place of strength, confidence, and clarity. Self-worth isn't about arrogance or inflated self-importance. It's about a deep and unwavering belief in your inherent value, independent of external validation, opinions, or accomplishments. It is the quiet knowing that you are deserving of respect, love, success, and all the good things life has to offer. Without a sense of self-worth, everything becomes harder. Decisions become clouded by doubt, opportunities are missed because of fear, and relationships are strained because of insecurity. When you don't know your value, you seek it in external sources, approval from others, achievements, or possessions, but these things are fleeting and unreliable. True self-worth comes from within, from a steady and deep understanding that who you are at your core is enough. When you cultivate self-worth, you stop settling for less than you deserve. You stop tolerating disrespect or allowing others to treat you poorly. Knowing your worth means setting boundaries and walking away from situations, people, or environments that don't honor you. It means no longer being afraid to say no, to stand up for yourself, or to prioritize your own needs. People who know their worth don't chase after approval or try to please others at the expense of their own happiness. Instead, they surround themselves with people and situations that uplift them and reflect the respect they have for themselves. Self-worth also influences how you handle setbacks, failures, and criticism. When you know your worth, you are less likely to internalize negative feedback or view failures as a reflection of your value. Instead, you recognize that failure is part of the growth process and it does not diminish who you are as a person. You learn to separate your actions from your worth, understanding that mistakes do not define you, they are merely opportunities for learning and improvement. The more you recognize and embrace your self-worth, the more you create opportunities for others to see it as well. When you value yourself, others are more likely to value you too. People are drawn to those who exude confidence and self-assurance, not because of what they have or do, but because of who they are. When you carry yourself with a deep sense of worth, you become magnetic. People want to be around you, to collaborate with you, to support you because they see the respect you have for yourself. Self-worth also involves embracing imperfections. We live in a world that often celebrates perfection, pushing us to chase unrealistic standards. However, true self-worth is found in accepting yourself as you are, flaws and all. You recognize that you don't have to be perfect to be worthy, that your value isn't determined by your flaws or mistakes. You are a work in progress, always evolving, but at every step you are worthy of love, respect, and kindness. As you cultivate self-worth, you also begin to understand your power. Your self-worth is directly tied to the level of influence you have in your own life. When you see yourself as valuable, you approach life with purpose and intention. You make decisions based on what aligns with your values, not based on fear or insecurity. You make choices that reflect the respect you have for yourself and your goals. This internal strength helps you to push through challenges. When life gets tough, people who know their worth stand firm because they believe they deserve better, and they won't settle for anything less. Self-worth acts as an anchor, grounding you when things feel uncertain or difficult. It gives you the courage to keep going, to rise above adversity, and to pursue your dreams with confidence. The more you reinforce your self-worth, the less you rely on external sources to feel validated. It becomes easier to let go of the need for others' approval because you've learned to give yourself the approval you seek. You are no longer dependent on someone else's opinion of you to dictate how you feel about yourself. This freedom allows you to live authentically, to pursue your passions, and to take risks without fear of judgment. Self-worth isn't something that comes overnight. It's a practice that requires daily reinforcement, introspection, and self-compassion. It's about learning to love yourself, to accept yourself, and to honor your own needs and desires. It's about understanding that you are worthy not because of what you do or have, but because you exist and have inherent value simply by being who you are.